Welcome to Vegas Circle with Paki and Chris, and today joining the circle with us, we're excited to sit down with this businessman who actually holds 155 patents and is the CEO of Boxabl, Mr. Paolo Tiramani. So we're excited to have you in the circle, man. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, great to meet you guys. Great things you got going on here too.
Yeah, so you got just a very diverse background. You know, we were talking about offline. Hold 155 patents. You've got a mixture of inventions, from my understanding, degrees in mechanical engineering and industrial design. And so you're originally from London, England. When did you actually move to the States?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in London. Originally Italian family, grew up in London, British passport, and moved here when I was 21, right after college. England just felt really small. The roads were too narrow. And I'm like, and I got on the first flight and to New York, and I couldn't believe it. When I arrived, it was like magic.
Yeah, you're some pretty big cities. London and then New York, those are pretty huge metropolitan areas.
Yeah, but when you come to America, everything's so big. It just felt great, you know, it just felt like a new life. So it's very nice.
Yeah. When did you actually move to Vegas then? So is this home for you then?
Yeah,
or?
absolutely. Okay. I love it here. We moved here just about 5 years ago.
Okay.
And my business partner came down from Northern California to kick off this venture to start Boxabl. I brought a couple of key guys with me from the East Coast business to set this thing up. And I love Las Vegas.
Yeah,
you know, it's really a fantastic town. Yeah. And I live right on the Strip.
Awesome.
And then drive to North Las Vegas to the factory. So I suppose that's a reverse commute. I don't know.
Yeah. It never happens like that.
But, you know, it's it's fantastic. We could have gone anywhere in the world. So we're patriots, right? So we could have gone anywhere in the USA, and we looked a lot of different places, and it was just a no-brainer to come to Nevada.
What was the big draw? Obviously, we know about the tax benefits that Las Vegas offers to entrepreneurs, but ultimately, was that the biggest driving factor for you to locate your warehousing over here?
Yeah, so probably a study in contrasts. I don't think there's any taxes in New Hampshire. I might be wrong about that. There's an awful lot of snow. And Florida's good, but there's an awful lot of bugs, and you get super sweaty. Texas we love. It's a land of freedom. But then eventually, you know, we thought migrate west seemed to have worked out well before coming from the UK, I suppose. Just keep going west. You can't go to California because everybody's crazy. And even the people in California think they're crazy. But seriously, the traffic corridor is fantastic here. It's not too far from the port. Income tax, of course, is great to lure talent. And we're luring talent from California all the time, from Silicon Valley, all the time. And then I think there's a nice general sense of freedom. I think personally, I love the desert. I love the open skies. I love Nellis Air Force Base. You know, there's a lot of things to love. And on that 4-mile strip, which actually takes, I think, I heard 97 or 98% of the tax revenue for the entire state.
Yes.
You can, you know, is it a little bit glam? Is it a little bit fake? Hell yeah. Right?
It's
but
true.
it's so fantastic. And you can get the best of everything. You can get the best brands, the best restaurants, the best of everything in 4 miles. Why would I not want to live there?
Yeah, it's funny.
You know,
Chris, we talk about it all the time. Both Chris and I are from the Midwest, right?
There you go.
And we love it. This is both home for us.
From like where?
Originally from Chicago and then Detroit. From Detroit area.
So for me, it was specifically, I was like, you know, I could get rich in Michigan or I could be broke in Vegas. I'd rather be broke in Vegas than rich in Michigan. There's not much to do over there.
Absolutely.
Here, there's something to do.
And it's very cold. And we're trying to lure a very talented guy actually from Detroit.
Oh, really?
He's got a beautiful girlfriend. She's an Indian girl. And she came over here a few years ago, it's my understanding, and she refuses to wear boots. She only wears sandals. And she's, you know, it's a bit cold.
Well, if it helps,
Michigan's a bit cold.
It's worth it.
Like, this is a slam dunk. They have to move here.
It's awesome.
They'll love it. I never looked back once I moved here, so I'm sure they'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Can you kind of share what Boxabl is, just for our listeners? We're familiar with it, but can you just kind of share, you know, just a brief kind of background of what Boxabl would be?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the absolute top level down, it's a new construction technology, new building construction technology. And if we look at the building construction technology today, it is completely pre-industrial. What I mean, it's, you know, what I mean by pre-industrial, I mean it's not built in a factory. Everything in our lives today is built in a factory. Everything. You can't name one thing, the shirt you're wearing.
It's true.
Absolutely everything, but not buildings. And the reason for that is they're big, right? So to show how absurd it is not to put buildings in a factory is if you ordered a nice car, and then come and knock on your door with some sheet steel and say, where's the garage? We're going to assemble this car for you. And that's,
exactly.
And that's what we're doing with building construction. So we're engineers, we're inventors, we're futurists, technologists, industrial designers. There's a wide group of people. And we said, okay, let's set our minds to fixing the biggest problem that we can find. And as production people, this thing was just laying there. It's like, wow, this is the last big technology that's not been put in a factory. And there's very good reasons for that. Obviously, they're very big, and they ship, and the factory solutions ship very wide load. Out in the field, literally in the field, they're very tough to make. You've got guys running up and down ladders with nails and things like that. It doesn't work. There's no economies of scale. You can't move things around. So we looked at it and said, okay, how do we fix this? And we fixed it with Boxabl. Boxabl ships 8.5 foot wide, which means it can ship anywhere around the world. And then it unpacks to 20 foot wide. And they're basically 3 building shells. If you think about Legos, we can think about, like, Will played with Legos as a kid, right? So
I still
think
do.
about the little...
My kids do too. Yes, I got it.
You don't have to share everything. I do too. But there's the little square one, right? And then there's the rectangular one. The rectangular one, and there's the one in between that nobody uses, the one with the 6 bumps. So that's Boxabl. Those are 3 building shells, and the largest one is the one with the 8 bumps. If you're thinking Legos, is 40-foot clear span, 9.5-foot ceiling, 20-foot wide, cut windows and doors anywhere you want. It's all pre-chased for electrical, no headers required. Unbelievably strong, pack, unpack, combine them, stack them, cantilever them, so you get 3 porches on one side, decks on the other. And unless you're an Eskimo, we're all living in square rooms. Unless you're living in an igloo,
that's true.
We're all living in rectilinear rooms, so it's really very architecturally neutral. And we said, wow, this is pretty cool. This is a pretty cool start. With these 3 building modules, we can build most things most of the time. We can build them in a factory without shipping compromise, and then when they get to their destination, they can unpack. So basically, that's what the technology is. And we attended IBS, which is the International Builders Show. It's actually not very international. It's just in Las Vegas. Isn't it weird?
But they say international.
It's like the World Series. And we showed up with a 1,600 square foot home. It was 2 bedrooms. It was stunning. Everybody went, ooh and ah, it was great. And at the end of it, they said, all right, well, what can we buy from you? And my business partner and I looked at each other and we're like, I don't know. It's like, it seemed really cool, So we did that. So then after that, we said, okay, we need to take the building technology, we need to take these building shells and configure. We need to configure it into something, into a product people can buy. So we said, okay, let's start with the smallest one, the 20 by 20. And what can we do? And we're here out in Nevada. It's close to California, and the ADUs, which for your viewers and listeners, accessory dwelling units, sort of backyard apartments, that allows more density for built-up neighborhoods to get more housing in. So we said, okay, let's configure an ADU. Let's configure a studio home. So we configured the Boxabl Casita, which is no doubt, what you've seen online. And then just the world absolutely exploded. And we got tens and tens of thousands of orders. I think we've crossed over 100,000 in pre-orders now.
Oh, wow.
It's insane. And everybody's got their use case for it. So that's sort of the arc of the company. So our original plan was, well, let's make a couple of hundred of these and see how it goes. But when you have an order book like that, that's not going to fly. You're going to upset a lot of people. So we had the wherewithal, the intellectual capacity with the team and the resources to scale it. So we just said, let's do it. And so we're following the market. Now we've opened up, a rather sizable factory in North Las Vegas. So that's a 5-minute arc.
No, it's good. It's good to be able to give the listeners the context. We were looking at it, and guys, you got to check out the Boxabl. It's an amazing. It's fully furnished. All the appliances for like less than $50,000. I couldn't believe. and it's high end. It's not like cheap stuff. I mean, it looks contemporary. It's very, very nice.
Yeah, it gives me like a ton of questions. You know, how is like the development process? Like when you have an idea like that, it's a pretty like ambitious project to kind of, you know, and it's easy to say we want to solve the problem of housing, but I'm sure the process from start to actually production, how long did that take, and what kind of like hurdles did you have to overcome to through that development process? Because even just manufacturing small items, and I'm assuming your engineer background helps, but it's a lot.
So that's actually a really terrific question. So when we way back a few years ago, when we decided to tackle a project and become operators in a space, you know, prior to that we were engineers, inventors, and we would license products to industry. We said, okay, let's become operators, let's fix a problem. And so we identified this construction marketplace as being pre-industrial. And then to answer your question specifically, it took several years just to even figure out what the problems were and what questions to ask. Like, let's try not ask dumb questions. You know, and that sounds pretty simple, but it's not. It took a very long time to figure out what questions to ask. And so the way we approach any problem, and the housing problems are no different, is we look at it as a pie. It's just a big old pie, call it a problem pie internally, and we slice it up, and we keep slicing it up, and we attack each of those segments, each of those slices individually. And it's a very interesting thing happens where if you take a pizza pie, whatever your favorite pie is, might be apple, I don't know. I don't know what you guys are
eating.
Apple's good,
I'll take a Hawaiian. So, you know, the slices, they get smaller and smaller and smaller, and you attack them all with equal vigor, and you put teams on them. And then a strange thing happens, you know, one problem helps another problem, and you can see. So it's a very, very interesting process. And so it just took a bunch of years to get there. And and I think that we almost at the end, conceptually anyway, of figuring out all the problems, from the obvious one of how do you make something narrow enough in a factory and big enough in its final destination. How do you make something with immense repeatability, which means they all have to be the same in the factory, and yet have ultimate customization in the field for our customers, which are everything to us, and on and on and on. You know, in the field, you have to use cranes to unload typically factory houses, modular houses, tiny homes. You don't need any of that with our product. So it's just the addressable problems have to be attacked, you know, with sort of intellectual vigor. You know, one by one.
Because it's really. You know, because it seems like once you solve one challenge, there's inherently more challenges that come. Because now, you know, because even just from a factory perspective, the margin of error on the installation of these has to be very slim. If you're compacting them, they have to be able to fit perfectly on top of each other. If it's off by a few degrees, you're basically, you know, don't have a functioning product at that point, and you're out $50,000. That's a pretty big investment. And, you know, is there anything you ran into just from, like, say I were to purchase one and I want to put one in my backyard? Do I have to get permitting? Can I just go and throw it out there? How is that kind of installation process?
So from the user end, you've identified correctly permits, right? So there are a number of permitting issues. And again, if you relate to the automotive analogy, everything is one. You know, there's one blanket set of rules, and you can buy your GM vehicle or whatever it is in one state, and it's fine in all the other states. And that's not only is that not the issue with homes state by state, but it's municipality by municipality. There's Byzantine sort of rule structure or lack of structure, I would say, and it's very, very difficult. And then the codes that are out there aren't very good as far as we're concerned. You know, the highest code is the modular code to the modular homes. That's the highest standard. It's better even than stick-built codes. And you have to go through and get those certifications state by state. So it's 50 states. For us, it's a lot of work, but it's also a barrier to entry for others. And we have a lot of those for our erstwhile, you know, competitors or want to be competitors. So there's the modular code. And then one below that is the HUD housing code, and that's crap, frankly. Am I allowed to say crap?
You can say whatever you want, man.
I said it twice. And then beneath that, of course, we have trailer, trailer and RV codes. So for us, we don't care. We're significantly stronger than all of that. So that's actually something, just taking a little side road here, but that's something we want to do. We want to have a Boxabl code at the federal level and have a national standard. And we want it to be significantly higher standard than the stuff that's out there now.
Yeah.
We can actually comply to all of them. We certainly outperform the modular code, which means we outperform the HUD code. And what's really, really interesting, if you're a sort of in the woods, leave me alone libertarian, that our homes, because they pack down to 8.5 feet wide, you can actually register them as RVs and trailers. So it's very interesting, what's the tax man
There's
say
a
about
lot,
that?
there's a lot of ways around it. Yeah.
We'll have to find out. And in terms of the permits, we have an arrangement with permits.com. You can find our landing page on their site. So you put in your zip code, and you get you can see what permits are required for your product. And then in terms of the installation, we're not all general contractors. In fact, I suspect none of us sitting here are general contractors.
Yeah.
So we'll be establishing a Boxabl U, a Boxabl University, if you like. So we'll have certified installers, and we'll have different levels. We'll have online certified installers, folks that have visited the factory as certified installers. So we'll have 3 parties in the connection. In the equation, there'll be Boxabl, the factory, there'll be the customer, who's number one, and then there'll be the certified installer. So that gives a lot of surety for that homeowner that they can choose from our list of certified installers. That certified installer is not going to run away because he's not going to get another job, and we're going to be feeding him jobs, and they're going to be great. So it fixes a lot of structural problems that individual non-builders find if they want to build their dream home.
Yeah. It's amazing, what you've been able to break down with the Boxabl and the story and everything. It's been rumored that Elon Musk actually lives in one of these. Is that something you could share? Or what's the story behind this? Because I'm seeing this.
Man, I can't talk about that.
Okay. I knew you were going to say that. I had to add. I had to try. I had to try. Yeah.
I just can't talk about that. Yeah.
But it's amazing, man. I mean, being able to see what you've been able to do, it's obviously hit everywhere.
Yep.
It's amazing to be able to have in Vegas and be able to produce jobs in Vegas, which is also awesome.
Yep.
To be able to do that and then be able to distribute it. So right now you can ship anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, we will be able to when the factory's live, and it is great to be in Las Vegas. We call it Factory 1. We'll be graduating, I hope, next year. We're already looking for land for Factory 2, which will be significantly larger.
Awesome.
And this one is 170,000 square feet. It's 1/8 of a mile long. It's 4 football fields, all under one roof. 4 acres, I should say, under one roof. Wow. And we should be about 105, 110 people per shift, 3 shifts, about 40 in the office. So we're talking about 350 people, 350 staff in that location. So it's pretty nice, even though the casinos hire lots of people, which is great. I think, with an economic multiplier of 7, don't hold me to the math, several thousand people to be helped by the Boxabl factory. And we're in North Las Vegas. We've got Mayor John Lee has been unbelievable to us. I call him Big John. Yeah. I don't know if he likes me calling him Big John, but I've sort of said it now.
Yeah.
So they've been, North Las Vegas is very, very pro-business. And they've been absolutely terrific. And to answer your question in a very roundabout way, I'm getting there. Ship all over the world, ship all over the country, all over the world. Sure. And even though we're optimized for shipping, so if you look at a regular mobile home or a modular home, they're shipping 14 foot wide. And that means flag cars front and rear. It means permits state by state. I mean, it's a complete disaster. And when it gets to the site, 14 foot wide really doesn't work for the architect. Architects, they're fussy types, like to throw pillars just in exactly the right place. And it just seriously doesn't work. Corridors are 3 foot wide, bathrooms are 5 foot wide, closets are 2 foot wide. And things have to fit in. And what's sufficient, 14 foot is not. They want at least 16, 17, 18 feet for it to work. So for those owners buying those 14 foot wide product, it means they've got a compromised product that they have to live with for one trip, once in a lifetime, to deliver that product. They've got to live with that legacy restriction for the life of the property, whereas we're 20 foot wide when we're unpacked. 8.5 foot wide means we can go all around the country, all around the world, no flag cars, no permits, Just throw it on
awesome.
a trailer and go. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got the modular homes, and then at the other end of the spectrum, we've got the container guys. And the container guys are very innovative with what they do, but at the end of the day, they're 8 foot wide, and this is 6 foot wide.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in something as wide as my arms. You know?
No, it's true. Yeah.
And the height is 8 foot. And the problem with the container product is there's something called thermal bridging. You know, you don't want to live in a steel box because it can get very cold, or it can get
that was actually what I was going to ask you, especially being hot in Vegas.
And it's called thermal bridging. So you're going to be living in an oven, you know. So then they clad them in the inside, and then they clad them on the outside. And at that point, you may as well take away the container that you originally thought of and just not start. And then they're just very compromised because they're very small. So, but I do respect, and then of course the tiny home movement, of course. But I do respect folks are desperately looking for freedom. I see that the tiny home movement and even the container movement isn't because people want to live in tiny boxes. They can tell themselves they want to live in tiny boxes. But really, it's almost a cry for freedom to say, I want some liberty. I want some money left over. I don't want to be going to work every day just to pay for my rent.
I agree.
So, you know, they're all trying to reach that customer and fill that need.
Yeah. That's really the most amazing. Yeah. I mean, like we were talking offline. I mean, I know you got to share. This is unbelievable what you've been able to do, especially with the housing costs. Everything is just continuing to rise. And you've definitely figured that riddle out.
Where if the barrier of entry gets for housing, it seems like you're kind of coming at the perfect time with the tiny house movement. Barrier entry to housing is skyrocketing. People can't even afford to buy their first home, especially people just not entering the job market. They're looking for opportunities. And, you know, one thing that stands out to me is when you present options like this, there's always these like tertiary items that happen or secondary items that it's going to present some business opportunities for a lot of people as well. I would assume with Airbnb being able to rent out casitas in the back. You know, what is like Boxabl's vision on these secondary businesses? Are you guys going to embrace them, or are you going to do them yourself and kind of have almost like a Boxabl community
Airbnb or whatever,
Airbnb rental homes in the back of a business?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So of course we're going to embrace anybody that wants to purchase a Boxabl first and foremost. So we're sort of agnostic about their individual use cases. In fact, that's the whole point, right? So you know, the Airbnb model is the same as an Uber or Lyft or essentially an eBay and all these other sort of democratized models that take a central organization out of the system and allows peer-to-peer business. And that sounds an awful lot like freedom to me as well. So any way we can enable that, we're going to do that. You know, one of the interesting things, sort of tangentially related to what you're saying, is when we attended that first year, when we attended that first year, we had some fundamental questions we needed to ask. It's like, well, do people like it? Do they like the price, etc.? And one of the big questions I had as a designer with my design hat on is like, are the architects going to hate us? And I'm like thinking to myself, well, they shouldn't hate us, but they probably will. And it was very interesting. And not only did they not hate us, they absolutely loved us because we were taking away the nuisance work, you know, in terms of the rigidity of the walls and the spans and the lifting, and it just allowed the architects to create. So I think there's a bit of a reconfiguration of who does what. You know, for example, there's an architect. He's going to do more the installers and just more general contractors. They're going to turn more jobs. They're going to get business from us, as we mentioned earlier, from the Boxabl U. And then we think about like the large home builders, the D.R. Hortons, Cavco, all of these folks running really fine enterprises. Are they going to be upset? The stick builders? No. In fact, we're talking to D.R. Horton now. They're the number one home builder, I think, in the world. They're making 100,000 homes a year, and they've come down and visited us with a whole bunch of others. So it's very interesting. Everybody can find, you know, their use case for it. Airbnb, absolutely fantastic. And in terms of other use cases, whether it's a man cave or a cabin in the woods, or configuring them as diners, pre-configuring them as diners, and we'll do what we've done from day one, which is you know, follow our customers' lead in terms of what they tell us that we should be doing next. So we're really only just getting started with the casita. And I think that there are two lanes, two business lanes, two product lanes to the business. I think one is 3 sizes of pretty much empty building shell.
Yeah.
And you just get it and you unpack it and you go, woohoo, I'm going to rip open my chainsaw and start cutting some windows and doors, and I'm going to make whatever you want to make out of your Boxabl. And then the other lane is the pre-configurations, where we will supply them with kitchens, with bathrooms, with staircases, with fireplaces, all in turnkey. And it's a much lighter lift, and people can get going sort of right here, right now. And that's one of the key. One of the key disciplines we have with Boxabl, one of the key inventions is one of the critical things we discovered is about most residential structures are about 60 or 70% empty room. And, like the room we're in right now, it's pretty much empty apart from us in it, right?
Yeah, it's true.
And then there's the dollar dense stuff, which is not empty. So those are, boiler rooms and closets and stairs and kitchens and bathrooms. Mm-hmm. And that's about it, actually. I just ticked them off on one hand.
Yeah.
And so Boxabl doesn't pack down all the way. It only packs down about 70% of the way, and it leaves a 6-foot corridor. So all of those products can be installed in the factory where it's super efficient. And talk about unboxing. We all see these unboxing videos on TV. I think Boxabl is the ultimate unboxing. So we'll look forward to that. But when the customer unboxes it, they should be able to do that in about an hour, buttoned up. In about an hour, it is lightning fast. Mm-hmm. All the utilities, water, waste, electric, all ports to one corner. Yeah. So they plug in, they turn it on, and they're living, and it looks just like a beautiful, normal home, on the inside. So a lot of different use cases.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. When I first saw one of the videos, I think it was with Dr. Ben Carson, when you had the interview with him, and I saw the video, and I'm like, this thing is unbelievable with the casita. Is anybody living in one in Las Vegas that you can actually see? Or do you go to the factory and you can actually see like a complete one? Or how does it work?
Yeah, so we've built 4 generations of prototypes. We have 4 or 3, I think, now, prototypes, and we're turning on production. So when you talk about production needs molds, it needs very large equipment to make. So you go from 0 to 1. As Peter Thiel says, you go from 0 to 1, and it's like crossing the Rubicon. I think our director of manufacturing might be George Washington, crossing the Potomac there. I think I'm hacking my history, by the way. My analogies are getting a little unruly. But it's very interesting. And I would encourage you guys, and also any of the listeners, to come up to North Las Vegas. You'll find us in Google and Waze. Apple has yet to catch up, but you'll find us on Google and Waze.
I'll for sure.
And we take walk-ins, and we have organized. We love our customers so much. It's really the Amazon model, customer first, that we've set up a factory tour that's like a Jurassic Park ride, where you get in a 6-seat car, and the doors, you have to put on the gear, the PPE, the personal protective equipment, and the doors open. And you go on the sort of Jurassic, or the Disney ride around the factory. And we have a couple of folks up front that they're only allowed to wear white. Alexis, if you're listening.
That's
and
funny,
we call them fabulous, because we call them fabs because they're fabulous. And I know, we're having a lot of fun. They represent the face of the country, and they will give any walk-in a tour of both the factory and a model. And it's just 20 miles away from here.
That's
20
awesome.
minutes away from here. So it's a lot of fun. And for us, we also get tremendous feedback, because we're really getting very close to the customers on a daily basis, and their engineers and marketing folks will just jump on a ride every now and then. I think mostly because they're children. They'll hop on a ride to listen to what the customers are telling us. So so it's a lot of fun. And we do have some unpacked outside. And once we get into production, we will be putting we'll be putting up a village street outside in
that'd be awesome.
one to three levels, different architectural styles. You know, our product is architecturally neutral, especially on the outside, because it's a big country, big world, and we're not going to tell people, oh, you got to live in this A-frame, you got to live in this colonial or this contemporary. No, you know, you can live in whatever you want to live in. So we'll be putting up a village street where people can really see sort of their imagination fulfilled. We have a government order right now that we're fulfilling with the Department of Defense for 156 units. So I think we'll probably finish that order before we put any outside. I don't want an Exocet missile, you know, lasered out of the factory from a military drone or something like that. You know, they make me a bit nervous. But they've actually been great. They took a tremendous leap of faith in us, and we had bunch of colonels come down. Yeah, they sort of come in bushels. I don't know how many a bushel is, but they come in bunches, the colonels. And they put the order in, and he said, fellas, you know we're a startup, right? You know we're a startup. And he said, yeah, we know we're a startup. And I said, well, why don't you come down and see us? And we brought them down to a giant empty building. Yeah. And I just stood there with them, and I said, we're going to do this over here and that over there. And I'm like, with my business partner, I'm like, they got to kick us out any second.
The visualization doesn't probably work. Yeah, it doesn't match.
They went for it. They went for it, and they gave us the order.
That's
and I'm like, wow,
fantastic.
That's amazing. They've been back several times, and what they've been able to do for us with our own engineering team is they're incredibly thorough. It's the military, and they're very analytical. They get very, very granular, and they've been tremendously helpful. And they come down, you know, every couple of months. It's been a bit of a challenge, obviously, with COVID delaying all the shipping and from the ports and everything. Containers have gone from, I think, $1,800 a container to $20,000 a container.
Yeah, I'm hearing ridiculous numbers. Yeah.
So it's got interesting so far.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, man. And Chris and I will 100% be up there to check it out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. We were so excited to be able to see it, man.
I'll give you guys my cell number. And
I got it direct,
The number is... No, I'm kidding.
You get blown up, man, from everybody coming in from tours. No, it's amazing, man, to be able to see that. I mean, you guys are doing some amazing stuff, and it's great to see you in our backyard being in Vegas, you know, for sure. Yeah. One question we do have for our guests is, you live on the Strip.
Yes, sir.
When you're not building Boxabl, you're not traveling everywhere. Yeah. Where would you recommend to eat at, or your favorite restaurant in Vegas? Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is a big shout out to my Italian friend, il mio buon amico, Panevino.
Panevino. Very good. Yeah, that's a very good place.
Vincenzo, if you're listening. Okay. Panevino, it's just off the Strip. Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. Mastro's, obviously, is fantastic. And then there's like Five Guys Burgers. That's all.
There you go.
Yeah. That's super awesome. You know.
I didn't think you would eat anything. I'm looking at your bus. I didn't think you would eat Five Guys. But Panevino's excellent. Great food.
I can binge eat with the best of them.
There you go. Yeah. No, Panevino's good. Mastro's is very good. I've been to Panevino, I've been to Mastro's. Try to stay away from Five Guys, but those are great recommendations for sure.
I get my share.
Yeah.
Hey,
what else is up for you, man? Where are you focused for just this year, and you know what's kind of your vision for the rest of 2021?
For 2021, it's fast coming to a close.
Sure.
And we're looking at Factory 1. Okay. So we want to get that up and operational. And as soon as we get to probably 60 or 70% efficiency, we're looking at producing a house every 90 minutes, which is pretty cool. But really, it's not that much. We can only produce about 3,500 homes from that location. So Factory 2, we want to be able to build 300,000 homes from that locations. And as I said, we're not hanging around. We're looking for land now. And it's all about the manufacturing cell. So a manufacturing cell is just a fancy way of saying raw material in one end, and Boxables out the other end. And so we're experimenting now, sort of learning that craft, figuring out where the bottlenecks are. And it's a simple process. Whatever the longest lead time item, whatever the longest task is, you just double the machinery, double the manpower, and go to the next high nail. And I think we should be able to get production down to about 15 minutes. We won't do that this year. But the goal this year is fairly straightforward. We want to We want to deliver that order. We've raised about, I don't know if I can say this out loud, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Yeah.
I think we raised around 35 or 40 million to date. We haven't gone out to VCs. We put a few $1 million in ourselves at the beginning. It's just all power of the people. Power of the people making donations to us.
Sure.
And they get stock in return, of course. And I think this year we'll probably raise 100 million, something like that. I don't think it's going to be a problem at all. The next raise after that has to be $1 billion with a B on it.
Yeah.
It's pretty huge. And that's what we need to do to scale. We believe we have the product. We believe we've got the building construction down to sort of its gene code, its sort of genetic level, if you like. And it does take a long time to make things simple. I think we've got this thing very, very simple. I don't think there's too much further to go. And then we just have to figure out that manufacturing cell, which we consider to be a product in and to itself. Put a bow on it. I mean, everything, right down to all the paperwork, the rule books, how to build, efficiency. And then we're just going to print them off. We're going to replicate those, probably by the hundreds, if not the thousands. So we have a very clear roadmap ahead of us. And our challenge right now is to find quality people and on board as quickly as we can. So if you're listening and you have a brain and you don't put an E on the end of Boxabl, when you ask for a job, you've passed the first test.
That's awesome.
The first hurdle of the general intelligence test. And we're hiring and we welcome everybody to come and talk to us.
You guys got to check this guy out, man. You're a visionary. I mean, you're doing some amazing things, man, and it's awesome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on just to kind of share what you guys are doing and what else is up for you guys. If they want to reach out, how can they get a Boxabl? Can you kind of share some of the handles or the website or how they can reach out to you?
It's real easy. Boxabl, boxabl.com.
There's answer to test 1.
And then pass the first test. And if you're local, come on down. Although I think it might be come on up. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's coming up.
To North Las Vegas on Waze or Google.
Sure.
And we'll love to show you around and get your feedback on the product. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you're going to see us soon, man.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely.
Paolo, absolute pleasure, honestly. Absolute pleasure
for
having you
coming
in the circle. And you can check us out at thevegascircle.com. And we're on all, subscribe with us. We're on Apple, iHeart, and the whole nine. So we appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that was awesome, man.